So I don't know if you know our story or not, but
Well, I'm hoping you will tell this story
oh,
because I
okay,
love the
okay.
story. And not only that, but I want you, I'm just going to kind of let you do what you want to do, say what you want to say. I'll interject a couple of
Okay.
things, but really just to share your story. Let the quilters out there know. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Momo and Steph's Quilt Show today, and we are visiting a shop here in my hometown of Greene, Ohio. I'm really, really excited to be here with Joyce and her daughter Sarah. They're going to give us a little preview of their story and history, and I'm sure you're going to love it because it's fascinating. And Stephanie has done some pictures of the shop that are just wonderful, which I can't wait for y'all to see. But I figured I'd start off with Joyce, and you could kind of give us an intro of, how you came here to Greene and your story, you and Sarah.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it was exactly 10 years ago last night that Sarah pretty much hit rock bottom. I also fainted in the doctor's office, and that was an eye opening experience. Sarah was pretty much at the end of her life, we were told. And so we were trying to peacefully let her pass at home without tubes and wires and trying to avoid the hospital, but we
Oh.
just couldn't. And on February 5th, we received a package in the mail from a friend that we had met in the blogging world, and it was a pair of handmade bracelets from Polly Curtin. Her daughter, Kristen, was in the hospital waiting for a bone marrow transplant, and she also had Down syndrome like Sarah, and we had become blogging friends. And Polly, sitting in the hospital, had made a mother-daughter bracelet for us.
Aw.
And I have a picture that I took 10 years ago today of Sarah wearing her bracelet and me wearing my bracelet. And I truthfully thought that probably we would be burying Sarah with her bracelet, and I would have the bracelet from then on. The next morning, Sarah woke up happy as could be, and she had shown a little bit of interest in my sewing room a couple of weeks earlier. So I had the idea of perhaps we could make a pillowcase for Kristen.
Aww.
And so the next day, Sarah was feeling pretty good, so we took off for Joann Fabrics and bought some Disney fabric, and Sarah made 2 pillowcases for Kristen and mailed them to her. We, of course, took pictures. They took pictures, and the blogging world caught the story. And next thing you know, Sarah has an article in the American Patchwork and Quilting magazine about this wonderful pillowcase story.
Oh, my.
At the time, I had no idea that we were going to be opening a quilt shop, but, as life happens and serendipity takes over, we opened a quilt shop on Sarah's 21st birthday. Really is a place for her to perhaps watch television, have a place to lounge, and for me to have a place to sew. But a wonderful, wonderful woman named Kate Spain found our story, and Kate had sent Sarah a charm pack, and Sarah made a little quilt out of that charm pack and gave it to a family that was adopting a little girl with Down syndrome from Ukraine, and that was Sarah's first quilt.
Oh, my.
And that was my impetus for saying, you know what, this quilt shop that we're going to open isn't about me, it's about Sarah and all the wonderful things that she can do. And here we are 10 years later.
Wow.
This is our 3rd shop. We were originally in Lyndhurst, Ohio, right down the street from where we lived. And unfortunately, that building, unbeknownst to us, was already in foreclosure and went into bankruptcy, so we had to move. We moved to a nice little plaza in University Heights, and we were there for 4 years. And then my mom passed away from cancer, and my dad had a massive heart attack 20 days later, so he was at the Cleveland Clinic, right place at the right time. But after he recuperated, he was coming down this direction a lot because I grew up in North Canton.
Okay.
And so we decided to build a home in Green so that we could all live together. So Sarah has her own suite, my dad has his own suite, and my husband and I have
wonderful.
ours. So for a year, I drove from Green to University Heights, and then when our lease was up there, I decided it was just really a little far to drive.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if we'd find a place, but I was getting my oil changed across the street one day and looked over to this space and said, gosh, it was empty, of course. That would make a great quilt shop. And so here we are.
I am so thankful.
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey, but this is probably... in terms of layout, the best layout that we have had. The thing that I love the most about this shop is that Sarah's little room is right there and her sewing is right here. The other 2 shops, she was upstairs, so she wasn't as involved on the day-to-day basis. But here she gets to interact with the customers on the daily basis, and she's been doing a lot of sewing. We are going to be making a pillowcase delivery, which is what we're frantically working on back here.
Oh.
We delivered last February our 10,000th pillowcase to the Ronald McDonald House in Akron.
Oh, my goodness.
But February 7th is Sarah's 30th anniversary of her open heart surgery at the Cleveland Clinic Children's Hospital. So we're taking a nice big delivery of pillowcases up there.
Wow. Well, congratulations and great job, Sarah. I mean, I love this shop, and I'm so excited that you moved to Green because they're like 3 miles from my house. And when you walk in here, it's just the colors are so vibrant, and it just is a happy place.
We've always tried to make it a happy place. We, from the very beginning, decided to only have bright colors because, we learned through Sarah's experience making the pillowcases for Kristen that pillowcase making was going to be a mission of ours. And, nobody wants to have a drab pillowcase when you're already sick in the hospital. You want bright and happy. And so purely our way of picking fabric is we look at it and we say, would this make a nice pillowcase for someone who's in the hospital? And Sarah does a lot of the selection of the fabric for the children, don't you, when we go to Quilt Market? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, and then we do a couple of deliveries a year of adult cases to the hospice house where my mom was. But for the most part, we focus on children's pillowcases.
So if somebody wanted to make pillowcases themselves for Ronald McDonald, can you just do that?
No, we only deliver cases that have been made here, so that we've got good quality control, and we want to make sure that it's good new fabric, and that it has, more importantly, been away from smoke and pets.
Right, absolutely.
Because that's extremely important to children that are ill.
Right, I totally agree with that. That's great. Wow. Well, I just think this place is just amazing, and I love, love, love your story. I was just in since I found out they opened, and that was purely by accident, my daughter-in-law had said, hey, her mom had been here. You got to go check this out. So I did, and when I walked in, I was like, oh my goodness, this is adorable. And I've been in 2 or 3 times, and you have great sales, by the way, and also some fabulous fabrics, like I mentioned. But I think more than anything, when I've come in, I've noticed that it's just a real camaraderie of quilters and sharing of ideas. And if you are in this area, you definitely have to stop in. It is just truly a gem of a place. I love, love, love it.
Up there, right?
Okay, so that whole corner is our Kate corner.
Okay.
Yeah, because of that initial. So what happened, Kate, when she was in high school, played volleyball, and on her volleyball team was a gal with Down syndrome. So I think that was the initial connection. But Kate and her husband came to our grand opening. And, you know, when we first opened, I never really, you know, I didn't anticipate that we were going to become what we are. I just really saw it as like just a sort of a backroom operation just to get Sarah and I out of the house. But when Kate decided to come to our grand opening, that just put us into it just quickly put us into the quilt world as this could potentially be a legitimate place. I had mailed, when we first opened, I had just simply mailed a postcard to my Christmas card list, letting people know that, you know, what Sarah and I were doing. And unbeknownst to me, one of the gals that was on our Christmas card list, because her son and my son were in Cub Scouts together, she was the president of a quilt guild in the area. And so she forwarded the information to her quilt guild. So a lot of the people from the quilt guild came to our opening. But when Kate put on her website and on her blog that she was going to be at our shop in Lyndhurst, Ohio, that brought people as far as from West Virginia and to meet Kate. And so we have just always been so appreciative to her and have just really remained great friends over the years. So we always, anytime there is a Kate collection, we always bring it in, and we refer to this area back here as Kate's Corner.
I love it.
You know, we carry almost every Fig Tree collection because I personally have just a great liking for everything Fig Tree. But we just don't do the holiday stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you have a fabulous selection of things. And one of the things I noticed is a lot of, like you said, children's fabrics, which are just bright and colorful, and they're not always easy to find.
Right, especially the boy fabrics. I'll tell you, Ronald McDonald House is always thrilled when we show up because we always take a complete bag of cases that are more boy appropriate because they get so many donations of cases that are more feminine. And, you know, and of course, there's just as many sick little boys as there are sick girls.
Sure.
So we really try when we're at Quilt Market, and we go to Quilt Market once a year, we really have our eyes set to find cute boy collections.
Sorry, you guys keep moving. I'm
No,
trying
it's
to
okay.
follow it. So there's sewing machines back here. Do you have classes?
We do not do classes. What we do is social events, and we have a lot of pillowcase making. The weekends that American Patchwork and Quilting 1 Million Pillowcase Challenge, they frequently will have a weekend that is dedicated to concentrating on pillowcases. So what we do that weekend, we usually start Friday afternoon and then go through Sunday afternoon as we pretty much set up the store as an assembly line. So there'll be tables all throughout the store. This will be a cutting table. That will be a cutting table. We'll have ironing boards set up. And we usually can get about 250 cases done in that weekend.
Wow, that's fantastic.
A lot of cases.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any other events that you do, or sew-ins or anything like that?
We have Friday night sew-ins, Sunday afternoon sew-ins. Okay. We are in a holding pattern now. We usually, you know, this is a little bit different for us being down in Green because we were up in the snow belt for 8 years. So we pretty much didn't do anything from the end of November through the end of March.
Right.
So far, this winter has been so fabulous that we could have been having all kinds of events. But who knows, right?
Yeah,
who knows?
You always expect a terrible winter, but...
We'll probably plan all these great events for springtime, and that's when the snow will come.
Yeah. Now, do you have a schedule that's on your website?
Yeah, it'll be going up. Actually, I'm working on the calendar right now for 2020. We were trying to lock in. We'd love to do quilt guild shows. And so now that we're down in southern Akron, I sort of have a unwritten rule that we will go only an hour away from home. That just seems to be a good distance for Sarah.
Sure.
But being where we are now, we can sort of spread east and west. So we just agreed to do a show in Worcester in April. I think it's the third weekend in April. So we wanted to lock in the shows first because obviously those can't move, but we
Right.
can move our schedule around that.
Sure.
So I think we've pretty much locked into our show schedule for 2020 now, and so we'll be filling in with Friday night sew-ins and Sunday afternoon sew-ins.
Now people can find you on Facebook.
Yeah, we have a great following on Facebook. I love Facebook because it's so easy to upload a photo. Anytime new fabric comes in the front door, I immediately take a photo, put it on Facebook. So that is definitely the place to go to get up to the minute information. We do also do an email, usually once a month, that just sort of like congests all the different things that I posted on Facebook that are important for those that don't do Facebook. And then we do have a website where we do have 24/7 selling. We have probably, oh my gosh, not even a tenth of what is in the store on the website. But, I do tell customers if there's something that you saw in here that you didn't get or that you need more of and you live far away, just give me a call and then I just load it up to the website so that you can then purchase it.
That's great. And your hours here?
We are here Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday, 10 to 4. We're closed Sunday, Mondays, and Wednesdays.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for
thank you.
having
Thanks
us
for
here.
coming.
I'm so glad you shared this story because it's really,
you.
I think, a great inspirational story that everybody, if you have some sort of desire to be creative, just let your imagination go and do it, whether it's sewing, whether it's painting. But if you're a sewer, this is definitely a shop you want to check out.
Thank you. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.